Later. All right, I'm going to check Facebook Live right now.
Awesome. Oh, I see we're live on, yeah, it looks like on Facebook we're live.
Good. All right, Jess, here we are.
What's up?
Having some fun, talking to my friend, and we're gonna. Oh, I'm broadcasting on like multiple things right now. There we go. All right, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Sweet. So Jessica Beale, live from the coffee shop in Ladysmith, Virginia. Jessica, how's your day going? Let's just talk to us about your day. What's been going on? And we'll start diving into the questions a little bit. Let's give people some time to log on here. But tell us, what's your day been looking like?
So we being me and kind of our like core team that we still have working, we all showed up to our Ladysmith shop, which we've sort of deemed as our headquarters for the time being. We just we got here. It's about 7:00 this morning, give or take a few minutes, and we just spent the morning loading up, and we were doing deliveries all day. So we wrapped up probably about noon. We've been delivering, which I'm sure we'll get in more to this, but we've been delivering all over to Caroline County, and doing a lot of baking, a lot of making drinks. So we wrapped that up about noon and came back and just did a few little things. And yeah, now we're just getting ready for the next batch of deliveries.
Awesome. And so friends, that for all of you all that are joining, hopping on the conversation, Jessica has been kind enough to just share her heart, share her story, share her experience of being a small business owner here in just north of Richmond, Virginia. Mm-hmm. You guys are pretty much almost central from DC to Richmond, aren't you?
Yeah.
In terms of your location.
Slightly closer to Richmond, but yeah, I usually tell people we're smack between Fredericksburg and Richmond.
Perfect. Love it. And so, as you guys have been showing up, like you guys are a small business. Tell us about yourself. Okay. Tell us where you like, what the heck made you start this business? And as you guys can tell, our family is a huge Mix House family. Like we have more T-shirts, more logos than some like of their employees. Like we've stood by Jessica and her team from the beginning. We just have loved watching them grow. So tell the world about who you are and why coffee shop, why business in small, quiet Virginia.
Yeah, I think I'm a little insane, but I love a challenge. So yeah, I grew up in Caroline. I'm from a family of 5 kids, and our parents were entrepreneurs. And so that was already, I think, kind of in my blood a little bit. I feel like at some point in time, each of us kids have dabbled in something small business related. So I have kind of said for a while, like, I want to have a coffee shop one day. I don't even really know where that initially came from, but it's funny to look back and people remind me of conversations that we've had over the years of like, yeah, I remember when you were, just out of high school talking about how you wanted a coffee shop. I'm like, oh, I didn't even realize it was, that early on. But yeah, just this desire to create a common space for people to come and have community, to hang out. I feel like coffee is a very, it's just an easy meeting ground for people. Even if you don't like coffee, I feel like people enjoy sitting in a coffee shop. Mm-hmm. So that dream was always kind of around for a while. I'm fortunate that the rest of my family is just about as crazy as I am. So I was able to drag a lot of them into this whole thing with me. And that's looked like, that's been in different capacities throughout the years. So yeah, we got started in our little town just because we wanted something like this when we were kids growing up. We didn't feel like there was a whole lot happening here. And in fact, I feel like Caroline always kind of had this reputation of being the underdog, and almost like nothing good comes from that small town. And so we wanted to change that story. We kind of wanted to change that narrative. And I don't know that we are there 100% yet, but I think people are starting to catch on to it, which is, it's a lot of fun to watch.
Oh yeah. And I think people are going to be seeing that more and more as we kind of, continue the conversation. Because what you're talking about people, you're talking about community, places that you grew up, places that people that you care about. I mean, tell me what that's been like, really rolling out a business that is so intimate with the community. I mean, this isn't a outsourcing isn't really a thing. You're bringing people that are local. You're hoping that people that are local are buying and enjoying your product and your services. Like, I mean, tell me what that's been like to see the community really rally with you. And I know we're going to see, I know we're going to get more into that, but I mean, initially, what was that like?
Yeah, I mean, I think the phrase "it takes a village" could not be truer in this sense. Even just, I think back to like when we were trying. So we initially started with a trailer, much like a food truck. When we were trying to
What was
figure
the
out,
name of the trailer?
we call her Teresa.
There you go.
She's parked out back. We love her dearly.
It's still close by.
Everything here has a name, so like we don't bring in a new piece of equipment without naming it, but it's a lot of fun. But yeah, I think back to when we were even just trying to figure out like, where do we park this thing? Like there was no food trucks in our area. There was one we could think of, and it was kind of it was a hot dog stand that we loved. And it would go to like the farmers markets and such. So that was kind of like, okay, we'll start at the farmers markets. But even trying to figure out like, where do we park it during the week? You know, it was, well, we asked actually your father-in-law, Kevin, and he was like, hey, you should talk to the folks over at Wright's Chapel. And we got started in a church parking lot, a church that we didn't attend. I didn't know hardly anybody there. And so even just like from that moment, I feel like the community just really, really, really bought in. Even kind of before that, we raised some of our funding for just like our initial funds to get going through a Kickstarter campaign. And that was really cool to watch, just people we knew and people we didn't know from Adam, who were like, yeah, this is something I want in my community. And they were willing to, you know, literally buy in and get a little something in reward for that. But I feel like that's something that we've just continued to watch, whether it's been through a build out phase of a storefront, launching a new product, whatever it's been. Like, I feel like the community has taken ownership over us, which I love. I mean, that's just a dream come true, that to watch that same pride that I feel like I have in our business, to see the community also have that as well. It's been really cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and as an outsider looking in, it's been just amazing to sit in it with you guys. I mean, what was your vision for this place? Like, honestly, like everybody talks about whenever you start a business, like get that mission, vision, you know, what goals and all these things. Like, what was your vision? What was your hoping for whenever you're like, okay, we're launching this thing, it's actually happening? What was it?
Yeah. So I think for me, it's always been very faith-centered. I tell people this in interviews all the time. I've said this to customers, like, you will not hear us claim to be a Christian business, but we're a business run with Christian values. And that's just a big part of what I believe. I don't expect anybody else walking in these stores to believe those same things. I don't even expect our employees to believe the same things, but we're going to run the business with those values. Mm-hmm. And a lot of what that comes down to for me is that I want this to be a place where when people walk in through the doors, that they feel so freaking loved and so encouraged that their drink could literally be terrible and they don't care because they had such a great experience. They're going to come back and buy another one. Yeah. So that's kind of been the core of it. I just really wanted to create a space that it doesn't matter if you are a farmer, if you're a lawyer, if you're a stay-at-home mom, if you're a working mom, if you're a single parent, if you're a college kid, I don't care who you are. Like, I want you to feel welcome here. And I think we've done a pretty good job of doing that. I don't know, somebody might say otherwise, but I think at the end of the day, like, I just wanted a space where anybody felt welcome. I spent a lot of time working in both traditional, like, church capacity, some leadership roles in that sense, but then also in some leadership roles with nonprofit ministries. And I think just getting to see the work that can be done for the church outside of the four walls of a church was really inspiring to me. And so I wanted to be able to do that, but it not feel like you were in church. Does that make sense?
Yeah. How do you actually walk the talk? Like, that's what I'm hearing you say. Like, how do we actually, seriously. Yeah. I mean, you're basically saying to people, I love you and I don't even know you. I care about you and you may not care about me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just going to do it because I know that's what I'm called to do. Yeah. And I'm willing to do it through this one simple way of, you know, I'm not saying it's simple, but this one way of doing it, which is, hey, you like coffee or you want a place to just be? Well,
Yeah.
come here. Why
I mean,
not?
I think my initial response is that these people pay my bills. So I kind of have to love them. I don't know. I mean, without sounding cliche or cheesy, like I feel like for me, I've just always had maybe a little bit of a love of other people. Like I can be quiet, I can be a little reserved, but I am drawn to people. And I like being around them, and just realizing that like everybody walks in with a story. If somebody throws a fit at me at the counter, that's fine, because I don't know what happened to them before they walked in through those doors. They could have just gotten really bad test results. They could have just gotten laid off from their job. I have no idea. And we talk about that in our hiring process and just in general with our employees, that, we want to treat people well and treat them better than sometimes they might even deserve, just because we don't know what's going on. And I would want someone in my time of need of being a brat. I would want somebody to treat me really well too. So I don't know. I don't know if that really answers the question entirely, but I think that's always kind of what I come back to. I mean, it is hard. It's really easy to talk a big game. And I know that I fail at this stuff daily. Like I don't know what I'm doing. I feel like I'm shooting from the hip constantly. And I have to go back and apologize. And I have one employee that we joke a lot about, that I show up with food when I know I've messed up. I'm like, here's a Sonic slushie. I'm really sorry. I shouldn't have said that. So, I mean, there's a lot of room for error. There's a lot of room for grace, but I try to love my employees. I try to take care of them. I try to love the people that come in the doors. And I feel like from a leadership standpoint, that stuff trickles down. So if I take care of my employees and if I love them, and if it's genuine, which I hope if they're watching, they feel like I'm being for real. I hope
they can make a comment. If not, This is guys, this is your place to,
yeah. But I feel like that trickles down. And I feel like if somebody were to come in and have a bad experience with an employee, that they would come to me, because maybe it means that then I'm not taking care of them in the way that I should. But
what's that been like for you to like come from, like you're the boss, you're the boss lady, and
I hate that
term. This is your baby. This is like your responsibility, right? At the end of the day, you're the one that has to give an account to your customers, your employees, yourself, right? Over what you've done. How is that leading from that place of being the decision maker, making hard decisions, but also coming from a place where, hey, you don't have the answers. You don't. Sure, you've read some books. You've been taken care of by some great people that I know personally from our friendship and everything. But that doesn't mean we have it all together. What's that been like, coming from that place of just service?
It can be hard at times. I think what's been the biggest help for me is that we just have a really good team. And whether I'm trying to just make on the fly small decision, or if I'm trying to make something a little bigger, I feel like I've got good folks surrounding me that I can go to. I mean, I feel like I even come to you and Emily sometimes of like, hey, I don't know if this is a good idea. Can I bounce this off of you? And I think having people surrounding me has been a huge part of that whole thing. I mean, even just, and I'm sure we'll get into this more, but when we made the decision to go to deliveries, that was not just like I woke up one morning and said, we're going to make deliveries. That was actually an idea of my sister's. And I was like, okay, we can do this. And so I think just having like really good people surrounding me and helping me with those decisions. But at the end of the day, like, you're right, my name is on all this stuff. I am the one that has to put the foot down and say, no, this is what we're going to do. And that can be really humbling, in a good way and in a bad way. Or not bad way, but you know what I mean? Like in a knock to your feet or knock to your knees kind of way. Yeah. And it's good. I mean, it kind of keeps me in check, and just honestly, it reminds me why we do what we do. Like sometimes I'll find us chasing after something and I'll have to stop and realize, Jessica, this has nothing to do with your business. Why are you chasing after this? This is not going to make a difference in people's lives. It's not going to bring them in the doors. Like, you're wasting your time. And so, yeah, I don't know. I think that, I think the biggest part of it, I would say, is just the people that I've put around myself, or rather that God's put around me. to just kind of help me steer the ship and make good decisions, and to be forgiving and graceful for when I do make bad decisions. Because it happens. I don't know what
It happens to everybody that I know. I haven't met somebody that has been an exception to that rule.
Yeah.
Yet. No, definitely don't. Right. And so, I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, like Jessica, as you've been processing this, well, what was your initial response? I feel like we're doing like a before and after, like BC is before COVID. And now we're like praying that we're, on the AD side of things. And I'm like, what did growth look like before COVID-19 kind of came to our reality? Like, what had you guys done? What like growth had you seen? Because then I want to launch right into, okay, then what had to shift? Because everything that was growing had to be reinvented.
Yeah. So we had, back in the summer, I guess it was in the end of July, we opened our second storefront. And it had been interesting. And I still stand firm that like that was our next best move. But the growth that we saw after opening that was not the same as the growth that we had seen with opening our previous things. It was taking a little slower, and was taking a little bit of a different, I think, approach from us. And we were just kind of getting to that phase of going, okay, something we're doing is not working like it has before. We need to shift. And we were starting to have some conversations just internally of like, do we need to adjust hours? Do we need to adjust our menu? We'd started doing some monthly events, and we were getting good response from some of those things, but we didn't really have enough time to dive into some of those decisions we wanted to make before all this stuff started coming about. And I think when it first started happening, my initial response was some anxiety and some fear of, oh crap, what does this mean for us? And I feel like it's really kind of selfish in some ways, but I mean, the first questions flowing through my head were not like, oh gosh, I hope I don't get sick. I hope my loved ones don't get sick. It was, oh gosh, I hope I don't lose my business.
Yeah.
For my own selfish reasons, and because I am supporting the livelihoods of other people, and we're a source in the community of, I hope, positivity and inspiration and whatnot. So I kind of immediately jumped into panic mode, in a good way for me. I think at times I can panic and I will get so overwhelmed that I just shut down and I just go, why even bother? But for whatever reason, this go around, I just jumped into like, you know what, we're gonna make it through this. And if we don't, it is not gonna be because we didn't try. So we just immediately went into making some changes. I felt like every single day we were changing something, which was exhausting. I mean, I finally, after like a true week into all of this, I kind of hit a wall of, oh my gosh, what is going on? What am I doing? Are we going to make it? Like, why are we changing stuff? It was like, I had been so busy and so focused on keeping this thing afloat that I hadn't had time to think. And when I did sit down and think, I did get a little, just overwhelmed and anxious, but thankfully, yet again, like I felt like I was kind of at this crossroads of like, hey, you can go this way and you can freak out and you can throw in the towel and just quit, or hey, you can dig a little deeper. You can come up with some more ideas, talk to the people around you, and make this thing work. And I'm just really glad we took the second road and not the first one.
Yeah, because honestly, like, why? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Everything is crashing down. Like, the governor makes an announcement that's saying, stay at home. This is about to hit the fan. Like, the president of the United States is making these announcements. I'm like, oh my, this is a little weird.
Yeah.
Right. Like, what? How the heck were you able to get past that fear part of about my business? Like, funny thing with bills, they haven't been delayed. Not many of them. Like, how did you really get from that? How did you cross that line from I'm scared, I'm worried, I'm anxious, to I'm going for it?
Yeah. I mean, I really feel like it was just in some ways like a split-second decision. And I think I've kind of been learning this lesson, it feels like, over the last year and a half. Just this idea that if I am just negative all the time, and if I focus in a negative light on things, then negative things are going to happen. But if I can face things head on and change my mindset from we can't do that to, we could do that. it makes a huge difference. And that's not a, it's funny because I think when I started trying to think that way about things, it felt like that was going to be like a night and day different. Like, oh, I'm going to have to change everything about the way that I think. And it really wasn't. Like, it was just these little moments of a customer coming in and asking, hey, could you make my drink this way? And yeah, that's not something we normally do, but it's training myself for my immediate response being, no, sorry, we don't do it that way. We can't do that. To, yeah, we could try that. We'll do that. I think those little tiny decisions really helped and affected when it came time to big decisions like this of, no, yeah, we can do this. We can make this work. We can make this happen. So I think that was a little bit of it. I also do feel like at the core of me, I kind of fear failure. And
what do you mean by that? You fear like, what does that mean?
I feel looking dumb in front of people. And I did not want to look, in my mind, this was, I think, some of what I was thinking, like, I don't want to look dumb by failing because I didn't even try. Like, if I fail, it's okay as long as I try. But I want to at least give it an effort. And I think there's a little bit of me, there's a rebellious spirit. So when the governor says, you can't do this, there's a side of me that goes, oh yeah, watch me. If my parents are watching right now, they'll probably be like, yeah, we agree.
Yeah, not much has changed over the years, folks.
So I think the rebellious side too. And I mean, we're a small business in a small town. So the odds have been against us since day one. And it just, in a lot of ways. So just kind of having already that mindset of like, no, we're going to buck against the system. We're going to do things a little differently. But also just this year-long process of trying to change my mindset from, no, we can't do that, to, yeah, I'll give it a try. Let's see what happens. Yeah. So.
And what was the response from your customers? Like, what was,
how
did they show up whenever this was happening? As you're doing all these changes, I mean, you guys started letting people come in, right? But then it was like one at a time, the social distancing thing, and then it was like nobody can come in, but you guys went to their car. Like, there was just some normalcies that were really shaken up. And
so we, like I said, I feel like every day we were changing big stuff and little stuff, but kind of to highlight some of the big changes were that the immediate thing that we started doing was just everything was to go. So you could come into the store still. We were cleaning like crazy people. Which I feel like we run a pretty good, clean operation as it is. But
I definitely agree with that. We've been there multiple times. Our 3-year-old has probably licked the floor there multiple times. And I don't freak out anymore. So there you go, folks.
But yeah, I mean, we were cleaning like crazy, and we were only doing things to go, and just to kind of change some of the like little operations. And then from there, we realized, okay, now we're gonna have to start telling people to stand far apart and dictating how many people can be in here at a time. And I was trying to think, like, how can I make this not overwhelming for my staff? Because I didn't want them to be freaked out or afraid to come to work or just overwhelmed. And when you're already trying to, I mean, what we do, it's not rocket science, but it can get overwhelming. When you're already trying to balance just your normal day-to-day job, and then somebody says, and now you have to police how many people can be in here at a time. It just felt like a lot. So we brought our trailer back out, and we just said, okay, we're going to close both locations, and we're going to operate out of this one space. And the trailer felt like a no-brainer because people could be outside. They could spread as far apart from each other as they needed to. But what we found was that the community was almost too supportive because there were so many people showing up that it felt like we were just really struggling with confidently maintaining just safe practices with so many people around. And so it was after a week of running the trail that we said, okay, this is good. Like, this is a good problem to have. People are showing up, but we need to make this safer. I wanted to be able to sleep well at night, knowing that we were keeping the business afloat, but we were also keeping people healthy. And so that's when we switched to this delivery operation, which we've been doing now for 3-4 weeks, something like that. And I never in my life thought I'd be a delivery driver, but I'm having so much fun, Joe. I've listened to more podcasts than I've ever dreamed of. And
what are you listening to now?
I'm a huge fan of the That Sounds Fun podcast by Annie F. Downs.
Okay.
So I listen to that a lot. I recently finished Monster, DC Sniper.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of a dark and twisty one. So if you don't like dark and twisty, don't listen to it. But if you do, it's a good one. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's awesome. And so, I mean, just like, what's next? Like, as you think about like the day to day, like continuing to shift, continuing to adjust, like what other things you have up your sleeves that you're thinking of? Like, hey, Joe, I think we're going to do this.
My employees are going to kill me.
Oh,
So
nice. This is a great time for them to discover.
I like sit at home at night. I'm just weird. Like I don't have kids. Like I don't have other endearing obligations. So I sit at home and I watch TV and I think about like, what can we do next? And so the other night I was trying to figure out how we can take our oh gosh, I'm gonna get people really excited. How we can take our frozen drinks. We call them Matanuska's, but it's basically our version of like a Frappuccino. Mm-hmm. How we can take those and package them for people to have in their freezers. I'm not making any promises, but if we can figure it out, I'll do it. Whatever keeps the lights on. We just released today like take and bake cookies, which are super fun. I've had them in my freezer for like a week now, and I'm pretty sure I've gained about 20 pounds.
Cheers.
But hey, who doesn't love a warm cookie every night before they go to bed?
For real.
So
guilty pleasures.
Yeah. So we're just doing stuff. Constantly trying to think like, how can we take the products that we sell normally and get them into people's homes? I think it's also opened our eyes a lot to just this idea of the bulk world that we had not really explored with before. So just trying to think about like, I don't know, what else can we sell in bulk, which has been fun.
Yeah.
So
tell us about that, because you honestly went from selling single cups to not.
Yeah. It's funny because we had bought like gallon-sized milk jugs that you can fill up, and they have like a little seal-tight cap. We had bought them, I'm not joking, probably a year ago for some random thing we were doing. I was like, oh, we should get these and we'll start like brewing our tea and selling it, and that people can grab and have for the weekend or whatever. And that box, I'm really embarrassed by this. That box sat in our office untouched for about a year. And so when all this started happening, I was like, well, now, no time like the present, let's bring it out. And so we just started filling anything we could think of. And then, just started trying to figure out like, where else can we buy the supplies to be able to do this kind of stuff. And we just started experimenting. Over the weekends, we would come in and make stuff and test it and see how long we felt like it would stay fresh, to be able to sell it and whatnot. So it's been really interesting, and it's really opened our eyes to, I think, a whole new venue of revenue that we can be bringing in, even once our doors are back open. Mm-hmm. I think people have really enjoyed that they can wake up and pour essentially really close to the same stuff that they're getting in our stores at home, in their own kitchen. So that's been really fun. And I'm really curious to kind of experiment with that some more.
Yeah.
We have a pretty wide menu. I don't know that we'll put everything on there, but we're having fun with the stuff that we are doing. So I think there's a lot of room to grow in the bulk world. I don't know entirely what that looks like, but I'm really excited to try to test some waters.
Yeah. And whenever you say the bulk world, you're meaning wholesale.
Maybe. Yeah. We've ventured a little bit with some wholesale recently. That's a whole world that's very foreign to me. So I'd want to do some more kind of research and experimenting, but even bulk, just from the standpoint of somebody coming in and saying, hey, I want to buy 3 gallons of your cold brew to take to the lake this weekend with my family, or I have a meeting tomorrow. Can I order X, Y, and Z? Yeah. We've always done that with our baked goods, but we've just done a poor job in some regards of letting people know that we do that. And I think this really lit a fire into our butts to tell people, hey, guess what? We can actually sell you a loaf of bread at a time. We can, sell you a dozen muffins at a time or whatever. But it was kind of a world we'd never really tried with the drinks too. So I don't know. I'm glad we tried it, because it is keeping the lights on. That's great.
And people have been responding to it. People have actually been interested in the product. That's actually something that they really want right now, because they're home. They can't really do anything.
Yeah. So, I mean, one of the biggest things we heard initially was people asking if we would consider selling our white mochas, or some of our more signature drinks, if you will, in a bulk container. And we're like, I don't know about that. Like, do we let people have that? We kind of went from a quality standpoint, but also from a business standpoint. Like, do we want people to have access to that, like, as well? And it felt like the floodgates opened when we put those things online. And it was crazy because also, I mean, you think about it from a price point standpoint, the stuff that's going into those jugs, it's not cheap. And it's different from how we would make it cup by cup, but it's still like, it's labor intensive, and we want this whole thing to be worth our time. And so I was nervous. I mean, we're selling a gallon jug for $50, and I was like, I don't know if people are going to buy this. Like, this is nuts. And we put them up and we sold 20 of them in like an hour. And I was like, oh, okay. I guess maybe we should keep doing this. Yeah. And so it's just been fun, and just doing things like that. And also just watching the coffee community as a whole has been really interesting too, to see like, hey, this is something that in some regards in the specialty coffee world is maybe kind of frowned upon. Oh, really? Just because you want to always present like a super fresh product. And so making a gallon latte at once feels very wild. And we're not
maybe not good for like the body either.
I mean, it's a lot of milk and it is a lot of sugar, but yeah, just, I think it's been really cool to watch the coffee community go, okay, let's experiment. Let's see what we can do with this. Let's see what we can do with that. So it's been fun.
Yeah. From a local standpoint, like how have I know you have had some really great partners within the coffee community here. Who have been those people? Like, how have they really partnered with you well to champion this new way of business?
Yeah. So, I will scream it till the day I die that we love Blanchard's Coffee. They are the roasting facility out of Richmond that we buy all of our coffee beans from. And I mean, they've been good to us from day one. We walked into their doors clueless. I'm sure we walked out and they were like, oh gosh.
That's a lost cause.
But they've never treated us that way. Awesome. They've always treated us like we're one of their biggest clients, even when we knew we were the smallest. And I mean, I just think the way you treat people speaks volumes. But what's been really cool for us during this time was, you know, we've taken so much advice and we have bugged the heck out of them asking like, how do we do this? Or what would you say about this or whatever? And they've just been so good to us. And so it was neat we were able to, they've championed us. We've tried to return that favor and champion them as well. Just from a social media standpoint, like sharing each other's stuff, but also getting to share sources of like, hey, this is where we bought our gallon jugs from to be able to fill up. Or, hey, this is how we did X, Y, and Z. Like it honestly, for me, like it felt really good to be able to talk to some of the folks down there and say, hey, this is what we did. This is what worked really well. This is how we started making our gallon and half-gallon latte drinks. Let us know what you think. Let us know if you have any other, pointers, tips, whatever. And so just to kind of get to let it come full circle has been a lot of fun. So yeah, they've been really good. We have a good little community in the social media world. And so we'll kind of shoot messages back and forth with people just that we've never met, but that we've grown a liking to following, and just say, hey, we're cheering you on, thinking about you guys, whatever. So the coffee community is a lot of fun. It's super, super inclusive. Everybody cheers everybody on. So I love it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's one of the things that a lot of industries are finally seeing right now. Like, you have no choice but to work with the competition.
Yeah.
I mean, these are people that are working in the same areas that you guys are selling product in.
Yeah.
And you guys can champion together, or you can all kind of go down together.
Yeah.
And, that's one thing that I've been fortunate enough in some of my business interactions. I've had really great bosses and leaders who are, so they just say, here it is, how can I help you? Because that's who I am. That's what I care about. And to hear that the industry that you're even working in has really stepped it up a notch and said, we're going to do more. We're going to connect more. We're going to care more, because if we don't, there's like a true consequence to that. It's not a fear-based motivation. Instead, it's more of like, I can choose opportunity and thriving, or I can just go from scarcity, worry, fear, anxiety, all which can be true and have their space.
Sure.
And I can actually call up the resources available, make a request that says, hey guys, I need a piece of equipment. Does anybody have something? And
Yeah.
somebody can come in and really partner well.
Yeah.
Which my prayer is that all the other industries would just continue to do so. Like, I mean, how are you guys doing orders right now? Like, you guys have a landline? Like, how's that even being done right now? Like, messenger pigeon? Are you guys like having like
We have
pagers or something?
we have a website that I created in about 30 minutes one morning, and it looks kind of terrible, but it's getting the job done. And I think it goes to show that like, there's a time and a place to obviously invest money and invest time in that kind of stuff. But hey, when push comes to shove, just get it up, and just start selling some products. And, at first I was hesitant. I was like, I don't have pictures of all of our products to put up. And then I realized, who cares? Just make a graphic. So we have a website. It's on our online store. And it's a little rigged on the back end, but it works perfect. And we just have like a big dissertation up that lets people know, when we're delivering, what days we are, when the orders are cut off. I think one of the best decisions we made with the whole delivery thing was to condense it all into just 2 days. So since you're buying bulk anyways, chances are you don't need a loaf of banana bread every single day of the week. If you do, please come talk to me. I'd love to make that work.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we're only delivering on Tuesday and Thursday. So that's been really, I think that's just been like a good move to help us kind of like streamline and condense our work. So it helps that everything kind of comes in. I process orders as they show up on the back end of things, and run them through our system, make sure that we have enough materials and whatnot in stock, and then keep our bakery department informed.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know, it might be a little redneck, but everything around here is. So we're just showing our true colors.
The true identity is coming out.
That's right.
Somebody asked the question of how can the community support you besides placing orders? Like we're even a lot of comments coming through about people that are just not local. Really kind of hard to do an e-gift card kind of thing. What would you say to them? Because it probably could be true for not just you guys, but also for other businesses that people care about. How can people partner with you, support you, stand with you?
Yeah, I think a huge way, and this is something that I have not given a lot of serious thought about until now, which is kind of sad because we've been in business for almost 5 years, but is social media. Just simply sharing a post or commenting on a post. It is huge for small businesses. Just the way that like social media algorithms work, I do not understand it. But that's been big for us. I mean, we had a lady reach out to us. She placed an order. She lived in, I think it was Fairfax, somewhere up north. I mean, super far away. And when she sent a message to us, she just said, I saw one of my friends share your post. We wanted to support a small business. We have nothing else to do, so we're going to drive down to your Fredericksburg drop-off and pick up from you guys. And I was like, this is bizarre. But she literally saw it just because somebody shared our post. I mean, she didn't know us from Adam. And that was a decent sale that we were able to get because of somebody took 2 seconds, if even that, to just click the share button. So that's a huge way that I think sometimes is underestimated by people. The other thing that I think I would remind people is that like, by you supporting the small businesses around you, you're still supporting other small businesses. And I don't know if that makes sense entirely, but I was thinking about this earlier. Like when people buy from us a coffee product, it enables us to buy coffee beans from Blanchard's, and that's helping them. But it's not just helping them, it's helping the coffee farmers off in these other countries, and it's keeping them afloat in a time when a lot of coffee shops are closing their doors. Like every little bit of those purchases make a huge difference. Or even like we've been fortunate enough that a couple different times, like when we've been here late working, we've bought dinner carry out from some of the local businesses around. So by somebody buying a e-gift card from us, it let us then kind of in a sense pass that along to the local Italian restaurant right down the street so that we get fed and they're still putting money in their pocket too. Yeah. So I think just like remembering that we're all kind of tied together in a way. So even if you can't support the place you would really love to directly, just supporting small business in general is huge.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's one of the things I've been seeing a lot on Facebook has been everybody inviting people to their pages.
Mhm.
Friends, you guys can see on the screen if you just even Google search Mix House, you'll see their social media outlets.
Yeah.
Follow them; they're producing some great content, a lot of fun. You get to see some real fun, creative like marketing, and just there you get to hear more of their story. Friends,
Mhm.
like that's really the best part about what I've experienced with your guys' messages. You guys do a great job just sounding the alarm as to, hey, we're shifting business
Mhm.
plans, we're delivering here. I mean, it seems like just yesterday you guys were like, yeah, we're going to have a drop off in Fredericksburg. That was not the reality a month ago, because the
No.
month ago we were just all coming to terms with, can we keep the doors closed,
Yeah.
open.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's been crazy, and I do think we've tried to be really clear and concise and just kind of how we're communicating with people. And when we're not clear and concise, people are sure to ask questions, which help remind us that we need to be a little clearer. But yeah, we're trying to just keep people informed with our
Yeah.
socials.
What's your message to customers like right now? Like, what are you telling them? Like, what do you like? Some of them are listening right now. Like, what would you want them to hear from the owner, from the staff, you know, just from your hearts? Like,
Yeah, mostly I think just that we're really, really thankful. I've had a few moments where I've been brought to tears in a really good way, just being overwhelmed by the support from our community, from our customer base. We've gained new customers out of this whole thing, which is bizarre to me.
yeah,
But just kind of like I was saying before, just remembering that like every purchase you make, it may feel small, it may feel big. It matters, and you're making a really big difference. You are not just keeping the lights on for a small business, but you're keeping the lights on for families too.
Hmm.
And we've just been able to still pay our staff, even the ones who aren't working. We're paying them a percentage, which, to be completely honest with you, we could not have done that prior to this. I mean,
Hmm.
we were doing good to just pay our normal bills and pay payroll and keep on trucking. And so the fact that in the middle of a pandemic, we are, without any outside help aside from our customer base, able to pay our staff, like that's huge.
yeah,
We've done that for 2 pay periods in a row, which I'm still just like very overwhelmed by. So just a general sense of thanks. I really don't know what else to say besides thank you. But that you're making a difference. I know you're getting to enjoy your goodies at home, but you are making a lot of people around here very happy too.
yeah. Well, it sounds like you're also getting to do the same thing for them. I mean, I don't know if you're looking at the comments, but people are raving about you, Jess. And interestingly enough, I actually had some employees share with me about your leadership that I'll just read right now, because
I don't know
I
if
know
that's a
you,
good idea.
I know you wouldn't want me to do it, but I'm going to do it anyways,
Okay.
because, well, I'm I'm the host, so I get to make these decisions. So here's what your employees said about you, and because I literally was like, how can we just encourage Jess in this? Because you have been such a blessing, and people are so encouraged by you. Our family has been encouraged. We've told you time and time again how amazing it's been to watch the Mix House, your team, yeah, your providers really just rally really, really well. I mean, and at the 11th hour too. This is not like, let's draw up a game plan and thinks about the pros and cons. And no, there isn't in time for that. It's either sink or swim, people. And you've done that really well. So I just want to read. This is from your homegirl Macy, and she said Jessica's can-do attitude and adaptability have been very encouraging through this whole thing. No idea is too crazy or off the table. If it means we can offer our customers something they'll love, it leaves me with, and I quote, "the sky's the limit" outlook. And that has been so uplifting in this weird time of uncertainty of what the next month, week, or even day holds. Jess has taken a less than ideal situation and not only thrived, but survived. And that's from Mace. And I have another one too, from your sister, Miss Corinne.
The problem is
There,
that these people know I more or less sign their paychecks.
what's that?
I'm just kidding.
Hey, devil's in details. Corinne said, there are a ton of things I could say about Jess's leadership. Simply put, she's the best quote unquote boss lady out there. The thing that stood out to me in all of this is how considerate she's been of everyone else, putting everyone's needs above her own. She's constantly checking on the staff to make sure their needs are met and they're staying safe and healthy. But on top of that, she's always checking in on those of us who are still working to make sure we're feeling well, still comfortable with coming to work, and that we're able to we're all on board with our current plan. Most of all, she has our community's best interests at heart, always looking for ways to meet their needs. Nothing about our current operation is even remotely normal, but Jess has taken it all so well and continues to put everyone else's needs above her own. She is truly the epitome of a servant leader.
They're very kind.
Just to encourage you, friend, it doesn't go unnoticed. I know people have said that over and over again, and we would be remiss if that wasn't our cry here in sharing why people should partner with you, learn from you, grow with you, because we know that the best is still yet to come. There will be a brighter day. And to see how you guys have shifted with the creative products and services. I mean, one of those things I want to talk about briefly is your Easter plans. Like,
oh yeah,
tell the world about this. It's crazy. I mean, it's a little nutty.
It is a little crazy,
but it's so beautiful. And I want people to know, like, this is how you decided. You were talking about, being the church earlier, right?
Yeah.
Like being the people that just care for people. Simply put, let's just go there, right? And you decided to make Easter Sunday a very memorable one for a lot of families. Tell us about it.
So it kind of started out as a joke when we were just like, okay, we need to start creating products that can, sell. And I was like, I think we should have one of our employees dress up like the Easter bunny and deliver Easter baskets on Easter morning. Like, this feels like a great idea to me.
Yeah.
And so we kind of joked about it for a while, but I thought about it apparently too long one night. And I started asking around on Facebook if anybody had an Easter costume or an Easter bunny costume, and we came up with one. I then was trying to figure out, like, who would play a good Easter bunny.
Very important. It's a very important role. This person makes or break the day.
They do, because let's be honest, a lot of the Easter bunnies that you and I experienced as a child were creepy.
Very freaky. Yes. Yeah.
Both
the
in
mall
costume,
was not a safe place.
No, both in costume and maybe also in person. So the costume was important to me, and the person inside was important to me. So what a lot of people may not know is that Joe was the person inside the Easter bunny outfit. But yeah, we just decided, like, let's make Easter a really fun experience for people. Easter was not like a huge deal around our house growing up, but like there was some excitement about it. We got Easter baskets. I do remember being terrified of the idea of a bunny showing up to my house, a giant bunny. When I was a kid, I was like, oh, that kind of freaks me out. But I felt like for some people, Easter's a really big deal, and they were going to miss out on that this year. And we had the means by which to make it really awesome. So we came up with these fun Easter baskets for a family, and they had some of our goodies inside. They had some fun Easter stuff. And then we got to also partner with Ashley Lipscomb Photography, who's a local photographer. So she did some porch pictures for people. We gave them a fun Easter experience. And to me, once we started thinking about it, I was like, gosh, this is such a no-brainer. Like, we're supporting another small business. Mm-hmm. We're making money for ourselves so we can keep our lights on yet again. And we're just bringing a really awesome, fun opportunity to families. So we intentionally did not do a lot of them. We did 10. They sold out within 15 minutes, they were gone. So it was a lot of fun. We had a really good time. You can probably share a little bit from your side too, but just the response even that we received afterwards, once we were done, people were super excited and just really thankful that we did that. And it was simple, but it was fun. It was us sacrificing our Sunday morning, but we've had sacrificing. Yeah. And I feel like for me, like, I've had plenty of Easter mornings growing up. Like, it was fun to let everybody else get to have one. So
yeah, that was honestly one of the most joyful experiences ever.
Yeah.
I mean, whenever honestly, friends, keep in mind, these are families that have been locked in their homes like for a long time. Kids aren't in school. Mom and you could all right them. But I mean, as a parent of 2 kiddos, it's tiring, right? And it was so refreshing to see so many smiles, so much joy, and such a it's just a weird season of life right now.
Yeah.
And so to see that Jessica was willing to be the owner and the business owner that could extend a helping hand, love people right where they're at, literally right where they're at, going to them, taking the time out of her day to provide just a little bit of joy that helps keep her employees, working, and also families to happy and joyful. I mean,
Yeah.
goodness gracious, there are so many kids that I mean, yeah, I think I know I'll forever cherish it. And so I was so grateful. It was my wife Emily was, giving me a hard time for being so excited because I literally I had a hard time falling asleep. It was so fun to be part of that day.
I am mostly the thing that I'm the most sad about is that Emily would not let me return the favor to your children and dress up like the Easter Bunny.
Yeah,
But we might just have to make that happen sometime.
Eventually, and hopefully our son isn't getting like that kid that gets scared, which could very likely happen. If you know Micah, he's a sensitive soul.
It's okay. We love him for it.
He is so wonderful. That's why we love him, really.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, Jessica, like in all of this, have you guys? What's been the experience with? As we wrap up, kind of a few more questions here. What's been your experience with all the government assistance programs that have been kind of presented? Can you speak to that? What you guys have experienced? Have you applied? Have you gotten anything? Just what's been because a lot of business owners are kind of getting to that point of like, I've heard some people getting it, some people not getting it. Just kind of still confusion as to what the crap does it mean. You know what
Honestly,
I mean? Yeah, which I think is still the case, really.
Yes.
Like, what's been your experience with that from your standpoint?
I feel like we've definitely experienced a fair bit of confusion. The short story is just that we've applied for a bunch of stuff and we haven't received anything, which I kind of I'm not like a conspiracy theorist. Like I'm none of that stuff, but I kind of went in a little bit with like, look, I'm not holding my breath over any of this. Like if we get the money, that would be phenomenal.
Yeah.
And we would be so thrilled to have that. It would be a huge help, but we're going to try our best to make it and pretend like it's just not even going to happen. That way we're not disappointed. I don't know. I just never wanted to bank on it. So we haven't received anything. I know there was a new small business grant. I forget who it was through. I think it was the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, something or other. But it was another small business grant that came out yesterday, or the application for it did. We tried all day to get online to apply for it. And every time we tried to get on, the website was down. And then by the time we could get onto the website, it said that it was closed, that the money was already used up. I'm like, how did they even process it that quick? I have no idea. Yeah. So it's been really frustrating, as I'm sure it has been for so many people. But I'm really genuinely happy for those that I think truly need it, that have received it. I'm in some Facebook groups with other coffee business owners, and seeing some of them just so thankful to receive that help, I think is huge. So yeah, I mean, look, if Trump or anybody wants to deposit a fat check into our bank accounts, like I'm here for that.
Routing number will be provided after the interview. Just DM absolutely. Jess. She'll be happy to give you the information.
You can Venmo me at, but I'm not going to sit around waiting for it. And I will say too, like, and I had someone who I look up to as a small business owner kind of lovingly correct me in this, but it can be frustrating for me to feel a little bit like, no, like we haven't had time to sit down and read through the 800 pages of this stuff because we're too busy busting our butts trying to sell a product. And I can go down that road really quick and get really salty about the whole thing. But I have to just let that go and just kind of keep our heads focused on where we're supposed to be and serving good products and not worried about, is the government going to help us or not? I'd be happy for it. I'm not above it. I don't want a loan. I really don't want money that I have to pay back. But if they just want to, give a little something, bring it on.
Yeah. Help us sister out. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that's been something that a lot of people are really wrestling through right now because it's so unknown. And, whenever you think about another question I have for you is just along the lines of, in instances like this, we'll call it a crisis because it really feels like it, honestly. It just brings things I've been neglecting. One of those things I shared in another interview was some business owners need to come to terms with good bookkeeping, right? Like bookkeeping was a problem. And then the government's like, hey, provide some information so that we can give you this money. And people are like, oh, I don't have any pay stubs. I don't have this information. It
Yeah.
all goes back to this personal responsibility thing that I've been really harping on in a lot of coaching calls, and really kind of seeing people rise up like yourself. But with that, it's also been a learning. It's a kind of a come to Jesus moment on issues, on things that most every business owner, if they're honest with themselves, has kind of dropped the ball on in the past. Like there were conversations, there were instances, there were lessons that needed to be approached, shifts that needed to be made before all this. And now that it's all come to the surface, right? It's almost like now we're exposed. We're all caught, naked and going, oh, watch out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's true for like marriages. We're seeing that, a lot. Every, self-help or growth conversation I'm seeing is like, save your marriage because you're living with your partner for the first time in years for an extended amount of time. And now it's like, oh wait, we didn't have good communication. Shoot, now what? Right?
Now what? Yeah.
So yeah, what if you'd be so willing to be vulnerable, like what were those things for you that you're like, Joe, this is where I saw that I needed to shift and I ignored that. Now it's coming to light. Now I'm really growing in it.
Yeah. I think one of the like simpler things that I already kind of touched on was the idea of like the bulk stuff. But I think on like a deeper level with that, just things that I say I'm going to take care of. I say I'm going to start filling jugs with iced tea and selling it by the gallon. And a year later, it's still sitting in the office. And that's been like a very huge part in keeping this whole thing running for us. And so just kind of bringing that whole idea to light for me of like, what other things have I, and this isn't even something that I've like fully processed yet, but like what other things have I been ignoring that I've been saying I'm going to do, but it doesn't feel urgent enough, or it doesn't feel important enough, that I could be missing out on like a huge opportunity to serve our customers, but also to, be more profitable and to stay in business longer or whatever. So I think that's definitely been something. Something else that I think about is our labor is our biggest expense by far. And I'm okay with that. Like I want to take good care of our people, but seeing that percentage shift some since all of this has made me question just kind of our scheduling and our staffing and how we operate our spaces. I don't know what the answer is to that yet. I'm still trying to figure that out. But yeah, I definitely think something I've been saying for the last like week and a half is, something before all of this wasn't firing on all cylinders. Something in that we were doing I didn't feel like we were like hitting it hard, we were surviving, but I would not say that we were thriving. And now in the middle of a pandemic, I would dare maybe say that we're thriving. And that's a bold statement. Very. I almost feel guilty saying that in some ways. But it's very eye-opening. And so I feel like we would be very foolish when this is all said and done to go back operating exactly how we were before this all came about. So I definitely think that there's going to be some changes that everyone sees. And maybe even some that people don't see that just happen sort of internally. But I think that you're right. Like this is bringing to light so many things. I don't even know what all those things are yet, but I can tell that, things are shifting, things look different. And we would just be really foolish to go back to operation as normal. So yeah, but I think the core of it for me is just realizing that there are probably more things than empty jugs in an office that I've been ignoring that I need to give some attention to.
Yeah. So. Yeah. How are you, what are you doing to keep your mindset positive, keep the, even being honest with yourself and like the emotions that are happening? What are you doing? What advice would you give to a small business owner who's in your shoes? Like, what would you say to them to keep moving forward, but also check in?
I think, and I just want to preface this with like, I don't have all the right answers, but I can tell you what I feel like is working for me. I think a big thing is just the people, again, that I surround myself with. I'm really, really fortunate to have an incredible team, an incredible family, and some really good friends. And so being able to just bounce things back and forth off of them has been good. One of our employees, Macy, that you shared some from earlier, her and I have decided to quarantine together during all of this. We figure if we're working together all day, there's no sense in staying at home by ourselves, because I think I would lose my mind if I was at home by myself. So we've been spending some extra time together, and it's been nice just to have a friend and just to laugh. I mean, that sounds like such a cliche thing to say, but I have laughed more in the last 4 weeks than I think I have in the last 4 months. If I had $1 for every time I've said, you have to stop, I'm going to pee myself. Like, just, I mean, laughter is such great medicine, and it really has helped just like keep my spirits high, which has been, I think, just a really, really good thing for me right now. But yeah, you just can't let yourself start focusing on the negative. I think Emily will appreciate this, and some of our other friends from growing up. We went through a leadership program when we were in high school age. And I remember one of the guys saying one time that your attitude determines your altitude. And that has stuck with me for so long. Just, man, if I have a good attitude and if I think positive, like, we're going to soar high and we're going to make it through this. But if I think negatively, like, we're going to sink. We're going to focus on negative stuff. Like, that's where our mind is, like, that's what's going to come to fruition. So I feel like I haven't let myself get to that point. And I really wish I had a better answer of how I've maintained that. I think too, just keeping busy with work. Busyness is not always a good thing, but for me right now, I think it is. I think if I had too much time, and I have some downtime, don't get me wrong, but if I had too much time to just sit around, man, I would spiral quickly and just be like, I don't even know why we're trying, and throw the towel in. So, but yeah, just lots of laughing, lots of having a lot of fun. We're having a lot of fun at work right now.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, and it's contagious, because I think that's what your customers are seeing.
Yeah.
Like, they're enjoying this with you. I mean, shoot, Jessica was a freaking Easter bunny, for Pete's sake. You know what I mean? Like, it's clearly evident that this isn't doomsday. And don't get wrong, it feels like it some days.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yet, for you to come from a place of, like, because serving is so important, because relationship, it goes back to creating that space for people. Your space is closed, so you're going to go to them.
Yeah.
Like, which I just think is so fitting and just so encouraging to hear a business owner willing to go to the other side.
Yeah.
And still not know where the next step is going to be. Because let's be honest, like, unless you know something that I don't know,
I don't have a clue.
Yeah, that's going to be kind of like a discovery process for everybody.
Yep.
Right? Like, Jessica, any last words? I have a pop quiz that I have for you that's very intense and very hard. But is there anything else that you want to share with the world as you kind of just, communicate to them and on this platform as they listen to you?
I don't think anything in particular. I just want people mostly just to be encouraged that, like, whether you're a stay-at-home mom, if you're a small business owner, if you are working from home suddenly, I don't know, whatever you are, like, we're all in this together. So, I mean, we can have our bad days. I don't want to portray like I'm this picture perfect, super positive, whatever. I have bad days too. I mean, we all do. But just remember, like, we're all in this together. We're all fighting the same battle. And it's okay. And we're going to make it through. So I am not a huge hugger, and I don't really hug our customers. But I'm excited to hug some customers when this is all over.
Who's the first customer you're going to hug? Like,
I can't say that. I don't know. Maybe you and Emily. That feels fair.
Deal.
Good.
Can't wait for it.
Good.
All right, Jessica, the hard pop quiz is finally here. Friends, here it is. As we wrap up our time together, Jessica, 10 questions.
Okay.
Rapid response. What song has been stuck in your head the most recently?
I'm embarrassed to say this.
Oh, this is going to be good.
One of two. Either anything on TikTok.
Oh, dear God.
Or Body Like a Back Road by Sam Hunt.
And do you mind sharing a little verse for us, a little ditty?
No, absolutely not.
All right, I figured to ask. That was going to be a bonus. Favorite book?
Ooh, favorite book. Anything by Donald Miller. His one book, Through Painted Deserts. I really like that book.
Big Donald Miller fan. Lucky number?
20.
I'm 10.
Okay.
Did Carol Baskins kill her husband?
I haven't watched any Tiger King.
You haven't watched any Tiger King? Are you kidding me?
Joe, I don't have internet at my house.
Get over. But do. Let's see. Dream vacation location.
Ooh. Currently, I want to go to the beach so bad. We're supposed to be going to the beach in May, and if it doesn't happen, it'll be okay. But I want to go to the beach so bad.
Biggest pet peeve?
Loud chewers, or if I can just hear you chewing in general. Like if we're eating together and I suddenly turn on the TV or turn on music, you know why? It's because I can hear you chewing.
So, friends, you've been warned. If you're out to dinner with Jess, shut your mouth.
That's right.
Favorite sports team?
The North Carolina Tar Heels, through and through.
There you go.
Yep.
Well, what is currently on your nightstand?
Books, a water bottle. I have like a box that I collect coins. Not collect coins, but like your spare change coins.
Gotcha.
I think that's it. Yeah.
Someone you look up to?
My Aunt Becky.
Okay. What about Becky?
What about her do I look up? She's just, man, she will work circles around anyone. Like if you need a job done, you need to call Becky. But please don't, because she's working for us.
Right, yeah.
But man, she's a hard freaking worker. And she very a servant leader, like through and through. And if I can one day be half of the lady that she is, I'll call that a win.
Yeah. How do you order your coffee? Closer.
Okay. I already threw it away, so I won't be that on.
Oh man.
But I drink a double shot of espresso over ice with some vanilla and cream.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers.
That's awesome.
I wish I had something to really cheers.
I know, for real.
I'll cheers you with some hand sanitizer.
There we go. Only fitting for the occasion. I got mine. Actually, I got one of the smaller ones. Let me see right here. One of the rare small ones.
Oh yeah, perfect. Cheers.
I'm gonna sell it on eBay for $1,000. Pay for Micah's college.
Yeah.
Jessica, thank you so much. This has been awesome. Friends, check out the Mixed House coffee shop and bakery. Support local business. If you don't have, if you don't know of, what your local coffee scene looks like, just Google it or find another business that you can support. As Jessica said earlier, we are all in this together. There are ways that you can be a blessing to those around you. And business owners, if you need help, especially the Richmond market, I'm actually going to be talking on Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern time with the Economic Development Director of Henrico County, who's a wealth of resources and has lots of knowledge as to how local government is really partnering with businesses. Jessica, I know that's the county just below you, but Anthony's going to bring a really great amount of information that's really valuable. So, and it'll also help you, if you're not from around the Virginia area, to maybe see what sources you can turn to in your own locality, similar to how Jess is kind of providing resources for small business owners. Doesn't matter if you're in the coffee industry. You probably need to get creative right now.
Yeah.
Innovate. It's possible. It's hard. I can tell you that Jessica and her team have been working their buns off. And while there has been some flexibility in their time, it has been a lot of work. So thank you, Jessica, for all your hard work in this. It's been awesome to watch and celebrate with you guys, and also just stand in it with you and stand in the uncertainty, because there is a lot unknown, and we're all just praying that everything will subside, everybody be healthy, and that businesses will be able to bounce back strong and stronger than ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
So friends, thanks so much. Visit the Mixed House and have a wonderful Tuesday afternoon. Take care, friends.
Bye, Joe.
See ya.